All right, I think I'm ready for the glue up. You can see here I have my marquetry piece completed. I've got 3 layers of bendable plywood, all bendable in the same direction, and a piece of walnut burl veneer for the bottom. I have a piece of plywood that's going to go on the bottom, right over the top of my bending form, like so. And then I have a piece of plastic that I'm going to put over the top of the final marquetry veneer, because I don't want glue to get on the vacuum bag or another piece of plywood on top, and the vacuum bag is going to help keep it tight down to the curve. So there we go. I'm going to set this one off to the side. Oh, one other thing I forgot to mention. I grabbed a little scrap of veneer that I'm going to use for a glue spreader. It might be a little bit easier than using my finger and get it spread more evenly. So I'm going to put on a lot of glue here. Use my veneer piece as a spreader to kind of paint the entire piece of plywood. If at any time it looks like you need more glue, don't hesitate to add a little bit. I think I do. So this is how Bentwood lamination is made. We're going to use the bending form vacuum bag as our clamp and wood and glue. That's all it is. Whether you're doing solid wood as a Bentwood lamination or bendable plywood, that doesn't matter too much. You want to make sure that when you put your piece down there, you've got a little bit of overhang on all sides. Get a lot of glue on there. Grab your veneer piece again. Use it as a spreader. Make sure you get glue to every single square centimeter, inch, millimeter, whatever you want to call, whatever your finest measurement is. If there are any gaps in the glue, you're going to end up with pieces that don't adhere together. So whether it's the edges or the middle, you want to make sure there's glue evenly over the entire thing. Remember the little book type of thing we're doing. So we're going to go ahead and fold it over just like we're turning a page in a book. Spread more glue on the next one, and so on until you're done. Grab my veneer piece again for spreading. Notice I'm trying to use the same part of the veneer piece all the time for spreading the glue. I don't want to get glue all over my hands, because this could be really messy. Speaking of messy, if you're doing this on your dining table, it might be a good idea to go ahead and put down a piece of paper, like newspaper or notebook paper even. Make sure you don't get glue on the dining table. I know Mom and Dad probably wouldn't appreciate that. If you're fortunate enough to have a shop and you don't want glue all over a workbench, same thing applies. All right, so that's the last piece of plywood. You can see the marquetry inlay there. I want to make sure that that's pretty well aligned. Now, the way this glue works, you get about 7 minutes total. Seems like kind of a long time, but it can end up being short time real fast if you're not careful. You want to make sure that you work efficiently. I like to do kind of a dry run, like lay this all out and get it lined up the way I need it, and then practice, go through the motions. just like when you're getting ready to take the test, you're going to go through and look over all the information that you've learned and study, basically. That's what a dry run is. It's basically studying the subject. Make sure you know what you're doing, how you're doing it. All right, I think I have glue all over all of it. So I put my final piece of veneer over there, and I'm gonna look around all the edges and make sure I've got a wee bit of overhang on everything. Once I'm content that I do, I'm gonna take my masking tape here and secure it on all sides. I've already done the one because I made it like a book spline, remember? And I want to make sure I get the other sides as well. Especially this side, the veneers are really close to the edge of the plywood here. Just want to make sure I get those really tight. I don't want them to fall under the edge of the plywood at all. Then that goes over my bending form with a piece of plywood on it and a piece of plastic. You can use saran wrap or a Ziploc bag. Just cut the top off. I'm going to tape that plastic in place because I don't want it sliding around and falling off. Then everything gets put on this netting, which you've already stretched out ahead of time, just like so. Once you have that in place where you want it, you're going to bring the netting up and over. So this is going to create a nice big passel of air for you to get out of the bag. It's going to take more than a couple minutes for you to pump it out. We'll see how long it takes me. I'll work as quickly as I can and efficiently as I can. Once you put it in, double check to make sure that your alignment with the bending form is in good order. You don't want that to be crooked, or your Bentwood lamination will end up being crooked. Sometimes when I do this in my shop, I tape it down to the form. You could do that too. Then you want to make sure you have a really good seal on your tape here. But also, it wouldn't hurt to squeeze out any extra air that you can. Now you can see the tape here, the gum tape that I have on my bag has been opened and closed quite a few times, demonstrating to y'all. And so I'm going to work extra hard to make sure that I have a good seal on there. Once I've got a good seal, go over it a couple times. And once I have a good seal, cap my glue bottle, set it aside, and I'm gonna, let's see, I'll rotate the direction here. There we go. That way you can watch the pump work, see how long it takes me. All right, I'm gonna start pumping now. So you can see the air is already starting to leave. And my form is starting to work. I've got the plywood bending down over the edges of it. As I've said before, you have to check this every 5 minutes for the first 20 minutes. If the handle comes off the pump, that's okay. Just snap it back on and give a thump to it. So here we go. We've got the Bentwood lamination, the marquetry piece on top. I've got a little plastic bag on top of that, the netting surrounding it to make sure air flows all the way around. And I've got my bag sealed really well. All right, I'm looking forward to seeing what this turns out like. Let's see, double check. Yep, I can barely pull up on the pump handle, so I know it's nice and tight. Again, want to make sure that this black gum tape seal is really well done. And when you are vacuuming it, make sure to put the, maybe you can't see that, make sure to put the brown paper that came off of the gum tape in the bag so you don't lose it. Want to make sure we maintain all the parts to the tools we're using.